and welcome to the Roy Rogers Riders Club.
Thrill again to the thundering hooves and cattle stampedes, barroom brawls, and shootouts of classic Western features and TV shows. Annie Oakley, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, John Wayne, and all their cowboy pals and sidekicks roam the West once more. Heroes never die on Comedy MX channels. They just ride off into the sunset.
Newspaper files of the early West record many stories of famous and notorious characters of that period. Wanted in Nevada for jumping bail on murder charges, L H Musgrove, a smooth-talking gunfighter from Mississippi, finally drifted into Denver, Colorado, where in 1868 he organized and headed the boldest gang of raiding horse thieves the Old West has ever known.
Come here, Ed. Hold this for me. Well, how do I look?
You look like ready money, Musgrove.
That's almost as good as having it.
Not to me. I believe money and I feel it in my pocket. Look, why don't we dump this herd on the fast market and clear out?
You know you don't get top prices for horses that way.
Yeah, but it'd be safer than stretching our luck.
Forget it. Meet me in Denver in 5 days. By that time, I'll have one of the finest pieces of grazing land in Colorado.
Well, Musgrove, you've pulled it before, so maybe you can do it again. But someday you're gonna...
Forget someday. Look me up through the Stockman's Bank and Trust. So long.
A horse herd belonging to the Kling Ranch had been stolen from the corrals of the Southwest Railroad near Julesburg in the early part of September 1868. I got orders from headquarters to run down the rustlers. I'm Matt Clark, investigator for the railroad.
You've come to the right place, Mr. Musgrove. It so happens we foreclosed on a ranch you might just be looking for. The old Allen spread, about 10 miles from here on the road to Golden.
How many acres?
Around 100, including a small ranch house. Nothing fancy, though.
How much?
We're asking $15,000.
That's a little steep for me, Mr. Blair. All my cash is tied up in horse flesh.
Were you caught in that Texas drought this past spring?
Darn near ruined me. I've got some blooded horses I couldn't afford to lose. Took every cent I had for hay and grain. That's why I had no alternative but to move north to Colorado.
And what do you value this herd?
Conservatively, $25,000. Ought to be more than enough collateral to take care of the Allen spread. What can you lose? If I don't make the payment, you get the ranch back, my horse herd to boot.
If those are your terms, I'd be a fool to turn you down.
Good.
Oh, just one more thing, Mr. Musgrove. I assume you do have credit reference.
Suspicious lot, you bankers.
Oh, just sound practice, sir. It's actually as much protection for investors as for us.
Wire the Central Bank in San Antonio. They'll tell you what you want to know. Another thing, Blair. What do you think it'll take to put the Allen Ranch in shape to operate?
Oh, $1,000 ought to do it.
In that case, you'd better advance me $1,000 in cash. Just tack it on to the price of the ranch.
Oh, why, of course, Mr. Musgrove, of course. Just step into the cashier's office.
I'll be with you as soon as I send this.
Would that be the message from Mr. Blair to the Central Bank in San Antonio?
If it is, it wouldn't be any business of yours.
Answer my question.
Yeah.
I'll give you $500 not to send that message.
Mr. Blair expects an answer. If he doesn't get an answer, I'll lose my job.
I'll write the answer. If you keep your mouth shut, you'll never know the difference.
But I can't.
If you don't, I'll kill you. Now take that pad. Write what I've got to say.
We have a regular form for incoming messages. It's in that drawer.
All right, get it.
Sorry, miss, the place is closed till they get a new agent.
That's why I'm here. I am the new agent.
Oh?
That is, until the company hires another man. I'm Margaret Jones.
Well, pleased to meet you, Miss Jones. I'm Sheriff Sims.
How do you do?
So you're a detective for the Southwest Railroad.
That's right. The company operates this office. I'm to make an investigation and report on the murder. When you were called in, Sheriff, is this about the way things looked?
Well, just about, miss. Except for the corpse, which is right over there, with a bullet hole plumb through the middle of his chest.
I see. Did anybody hear the shot?
No, I guess not. Just about closing time last night. Most folks were gone home for supper.
What do you make of it, Sheriff? Do you have any ideas, any suspects?
Appears like a plain case of robbery to me.
Was this telegram here when you found him?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the last message to come through. Joe must have been killed just as he finished writing it.
It's from the Central Bank at San Antonio about a man named Musgrove. Does that name mean anything to you?
No, don't know any Musgrove around here.
It's addressed to a Mr. Blair at the Stockman's Bank and Trust.
Oh, Blair. He's president of the bank.
It's probably more important to him than it is to us. I better deliver it. Well, there's no copy.
Huh?
A duplicate, it's always routine. I guess he never had a chance to make one. I'll do it.
By November, I had trailed the stolen herd to a ranch 10 miles outside of Denver.
Morning, Ed. How do you like your new home?
Musgrove, I gotta hand it to you. This place looks just right for us.
Yeah, the easiest deal I ever made. Of course, I have to ride into town, sign some papers, soften up the banker a little more.
Somehow I didn't think you'd do it this time. No trouble at all, huh?
No, nothing to worry about. Of course, the telegraph operator wasn't very smart.
You had to kill him?
Now, don't get yourself upset, Ed. It'll look like a simple case of robbery. Come on in and have some coffee and grub. I'll tell you all about it.
I continued on to Denver. I wanted to find out more about the ranch and the men who operated it before contacting the local authorities and moving in for the arrest. Jonesy.
What are you doing here? I thought you were in Nebraska on a case.
I thought you were in Cheyenne.
Well, I was. They sent me here a couple of days ago when the express agent was killed. And don't you try moving in. This is my case.
Don't you worry your pretty head about that. I've got troubles of my own. Horse thieves.
Well, if you're going to be in town for a while, there's a real nice hotel right across the street.
Do folks here in town know that you're a cinder sleuth?
The sheriff does, and I suppose he's told his cronies.
Then I better board someplace else. My horse thieves don't know me, and I'd just as soon keep it that way. Say, will you wire headquarters that I'm here in Denver as Bill Porter, horse trader for the Overland Stage Company, and that I've located their base of operations. Just as soon as I find out for sure who their leader is, I'll make some arrests. Got that?
I've sent out enough messages by now to know how.
And put it in code. I don't want anybody reading my mail. See you later, Jonesy. And say, don't forget, if you get lonesome, don't get in touch with me.
And just what makes you think I would?
After a few inquiries around town, I learned that the ranch under suspicion was recently bought by an LH Musgrove and that the Stockman's Bank and Trust had handled the deal.
Happy to be of service, Mr. Porter. Always glad to welcome new business to Denver.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Blair.
Well, sir, what's on your mind?
Horses, Mr. Blair. I'm a buyer and trader for the Overland Stage Company. I was recommended to come down here and do business with that new outfit that moved on to a ranch out near Golden.
Oh, yes, the old Allen place. I sold it just the other day to a man named Musgrove. I take it you'd like references on him before doing business, is that it?
That's right. With all these horse thieves operating in this part of the country, you can't be too careful.
Well, I'm sure I can put your mind at ease, Mr. Porter. Here's a report on Musgrove's credit reference from the Central Bank in San Antonio.
His mother couldn't have done much better than this. If I had a reference like that, I'd keep it under glass.
I assume that answers all your questions?
I think it answers all I need to know. Well, I'll be running along, Mr. Blair. Thanks very much for your time.
Don't mention it. Glad to be of service. Oh, Mr. Musgrove. Speaking of the devil, so to speak, Mr. Porter, here's the very man we were discussing. Mr. Porter, Mr. Musgrove. Mr. Porter's a horse buyer for the Overland Stage Line. I was telling him you had quite a few horses for sale.
Well, delighted to know you, sir.
Same to you.
In the market for draft horses?
Draft and saddle.
Well, I have some fine working stock you might be interested in. Also, some high-stepping pacers from Tennessee.
Sounds very interesting. I'd like to see them.
Tell you what I'll do. I've got a little business to finish here. After I'm through, I'll take you out. You going to be free?
Anytime you say.
Fine. Meet you out in front in 15 minutes.
Good.
Did you, say his name was Porter?
That's right. He was quite anxious to make sure you weren't a horse thief before he did any business with you.
Well, can't blame a man for being careful.
All I had to do was show him that credit reference from the Central Bank in San Antonio. I answered all his questions. Now, here's the property deed. Look it over carefully before you sign.
Mr. Blair, if I couldn't trust a respectable banker like you, the world would be in a pretty sad state.
Jonesy. A couple of things I want done in a hurry. Have headquarters run a routine check on a man named Musgrove. Then wire the Central Bank in San Antonio asking for the same information. The initials of Musgrove are LH.
Musgrove? That name's so familiar.
Worry about it on your own time, sweetheart. Right now, get the wires out.
Where'll you be when the answer comes in?
I'll stop here when I get back in town. See you later.
All right.
I knew I had to have very definite evidence to offset the credit reference on Musgrove that Mr. Blair had shown me. The most likely place to find that evidence was at the ranch. So I was waiting for Musgrove according to our appointment.
You sent for me, Miss Jones?
I think I have a clue to the murder, Mr. Sims.
Oh?
Remember that telegram we found, the last one that came in before Joe was killed?
The one from Mr. Blair at the bank?
That's right. About a Mr. Musgrove, a credit reference from the Central Bank in San Antonio. Look, here's an answer to another inquiry about the same man to the same bank. Only this time they say they've never heard of him.
Let's have that again, Miss Jones. Slowly.
Another detective, a friend of mine, is here in town investigating a band of horse thieves. He suspects a man named Musgrove. Don't you see it's all beginning to tie together?
Well, go on.
Suppose Musgrove did write that telegram himself, the one we delivered to Blair. Suppose he threatened that express agent and had to shoot him.
You really think that Musgrove shot Joe?
There's one way we can find out. If Musgrove did write that credit reference telegram himself, maybe we could check the handwriting with the legal papers he must have signed at the bank.
Sounds like a good hunch, Miss Jones.
And if it's right, Mr. Sims, we'll have our man before nightfall, plus a few horse thieves thrown in. Let's go see Mr. Blair.
I'll get my men to round up some of the stock. Meanwhile, there's a couple of those Tennessee Pacers in the barn I was telling you about.
All right, look them over.
Do that. This is my partner, Ed Franklin, Porter.
Howdy.
How do you like him?
Well, looks like a pretty good horse. How much you want for him? I don't like practical jokes involving guns, mister.
Take his gun, Ed.
I think you two have got some explaining to do.
You'll get it. First of all, we'll go in the house and have a little sociable drink. After I've told you about myself, I'll expect the same courtesy from you. Let's go. Come on in, pull up a chair. I guess you recognize the brand on that horse, huh, Porter?
That's right. Cling Ranch.
Now that you've discovered it, I don't imagine you'll be interested in buying any of my stock.
Naturally, I don't want to buy any stolen horses.
Naturally.
I suppose you want my assurance that this need go no further.
It'll take more than your assurance, Porter. It'll take your life. Better take a drink. You'll need it.
No, thanks. I sort of like to choose the company I drink with.
Look, I've got a big operation going here. I can't afford to have anything go wrong. A man that's interested in buying horses doesn't go to a banker for information. I know most of the horse traders in this part of the country. I don't know any one of them with the name of Porter.
All right. Suppose I did blunder into something that was none of my business. Is there any reason for you to kill a man?
I've killed men for a lot less reason. Porter, I know you're a detective. You understand why this has to be done, don't you, Ed?
Stop talking about it. Shoot him and get it done with.
No, that wouldn't be very smart, Ed. Banker knows that this man came down here with me. No time at all. We'd have the law snooping around, asking too many questions.
Then what's the use of going through with this? Let's leave the whole thing and get out.
No, stop your whining. Listen, get the picture clear. This man talked to us about horses. We had a few drinks. He drank too much. On the ride back to town, his horse threw him. Fell on his head. Broke his neck. He reeks of whiskey.
Sit down.
It was an accident. Get the picture now?
Yeah. Something tells me it won't work. If it doesn't,
Your plan's for owning the biggest ranch in the country will blow up in your face. It'll work. Get the horses. Riders coming on the road. Could be a posse. Watch him. I'll see what they want. Don't try it. Much as I hate to, I'll kill you.
Mr. Musgrove,
That's right.
I've got a warrant here for your arrest.
Charge?
Suspicion of murder.
Who'd I murder?
The express agent, Joe Smith.
Give me your guns.
There goes Musgrove.
Ed Franklin and Russell in the house. Take that in. We had Musgrove and Franklin in jail on charges of horse stealing. Charges that I could be sure of. Jonesy was trying to show me she had a strong case of murder against Musgrove based on the circumstantial evidence of the fake telegram and a similarity in the handwriting.
Now look, here's the telegram Musgrove faked for himself. And here's the property deed that he signed for the banker. The handwriting's the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, Jonesy. I hate to take a man in on a murder charge with that kind of evidence. Because it don't make any difference, though. I'm gonna be hanged for horse stealing anyway.
But headquarters told us that Musgrove's wanted in 2 states for murder charges. And everything points to him being the man who killed the express agent. Come on in, Sheriff. We've been talking over this Musgrove case. Do you think we've got enough evidence to pin a murder charge on him?
Well, maybe we won't have to worry about that anymore.
Why not?
Musgrove and Franklin were just let out on bail.
They're wanted in 2 states already for jumping bail.
Ain't none of my doing. Judge signs the bail bonds. Trial's set for 2 weeks from now.
By that time, they'd be 1,000 miles away. Give me that evidence, Jonesy.
Where are you going now?
I'm going to see the judge and try to talk him into rearresting Musgrove on a murder charge. The way it turned out, we never did see the judge that afternoon. Several other citizens heard of Musgrove's release and liked it even less than I did. The only difference was their method was more direct.
around somewhere, boys.
Yeah, then we take a little ride down to Golden. Take care of some unfinished business.
I wouldn't worry about that, Musgrove. You aren't going to have any business, finished or unfinished.
Hey, Musgrove!
So in November 1868, the case of LH Musgrove came to an abrupt and final end, hanged by the irate citizens of the town. Well, looks like we're a little late, Sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we better take him in.
Yeah. Official newspaper files of the early West record many stories of famous and notorious characters of that period. Jim Courtright, former marshal of Fort Worth, Texas, and a deadly man with a six-gun. In the 80s, he organized one of the country's first extortion protection rackets and inaugurated a reign of violence and terror in the Lone Star State. The Schaefer Ranch, 5 miles south of Fort Worth.
You in charge here?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting shipment until tomorrow.
Are you Mr. Schaefer?
That's right.
Well, my name's Elston. They shipped us through so fast I didn't have a chance to notify you.
That's all right. I'll have my men here in half an hour to take over.
Good. I've got shipping papers for you, Mr. Schaefer. I'll get them.
Howdy, Schaefer.
Jim Courtright.
Oh, no, put that thing away, Schaefer. You don't know how to handle a gun.
What do you want?
Well, Huck here tells me you're not going to let the agency protect your herd anymore.
That's right.
Huh. I think you're making a mistake. But without my organization behind you, you'll be at the mercy of every rustler in Texas.
When Lawson refused to pay, it wasn't rustlers burnt down his barn. Those were your men.
Well, if that's what you think, maybe you ought to go see your new marshal, Tom Johnson.
That'd be a real waste of time. I'm writing Governor Ross and having you thrown out of the state. Now clear out. I've got work to do.
Well, that's the way you feel. Well, you haven't lost a touch, Jim.
Elston had worked for the Southwest Railroad a long time. An hour after news of his murder reached headquarters, I was on my way to Fort Worth. I'm Matt Clark, detective for the same. I arrived 2 days later on February the 7th, 1887, and following usual procedure, checked in at the city marshal's office. Morning. You Marshal Johnson?
Yeah. What can I do for you?
My name's Clark.
Railroad detective, eh?
That's right.
Well, have a cigar.
No, thanks.
Nothing wrong with it. They make them crooked on purpose.
I know, but I don't smoke.
Oh. Well, I reckon you're here about that shooting the other day, eh?
That's right. I've got the general picture, but I'd appreciate it if you'd fill in the details for me.
I don't know much more about it than you do. Nobody's seen it happen.
What about the train crew?
Those cattle were making so much noise, they didn't even hear the shots.
What about Schaefer? Has he got any enemies that you know about?
No, not that I know of.
Well, in other words, this whole thing to you is a complete mystery.
I've got men working on the case, Clark, but this sort of thing takes time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Now, you don't mind if I stick around and sort of speed things up a little bit, do you?
Not at all, Clark. Go right ahead.
Well, thanks. Johnson was either the laziest lawman on record or he was as crooked as the cigars he smoked. I decided to see an old friend of mine, Luke Short. He ran the White Elephant, the best saloon in town. A detective has to be prepared for anything, such as seeing my partner, Margaret Jones, tending bar in the White Elephant.
Hey, mister, what'll you have?
What are you doing here?
Same as you. I was in Dallas when Elston was killed. That's why I got here before you.
Oh, what are you doing behind the bar?
Oh, Luke thought a lady bartender might be good for business.
It's the craziest thing I ever heard of. Luke in his office?
No, he went to the bank. I think I know who killed Elston and Schaefer.
Yeah?
Everybody thinks it's Courtwright, but they're scared to say it.
Jim Courtright?
The fast-draw kid himself. The whole town's scared to death of him.
Used to be marshal of this town, didn't he?
That was 4 years ago. Now he's running some sort of a blackmail protection racket.
Maybe that's why Schaefer was killed. He wouldn't pay off.
Could be. Elston just happened to get in the way when the shooting started.
Where's Courtwright now?
I don't look now, but he just came in.
Yeah?
Hey, Josie.
Yes, Mr. Courtwright.
Come here a minute.
What do you have, Mr. Courtwright?
Well, when I came in, you were talking to that fellow at the end of the bar. No?
No.
Did he ask any questions?
Sure, but I gave him the same answer I gave you last night.
It's not what I meant. Did he say anything about working for the railroad?
No. Why?
Never mind.
Luke Short, you old goat, you. High-hat son of a gun. You were going to pass me by without saying hello.
Well, you're mighty easy to overlook, little fella.
Oh, don't give me that, you big ox. Come on in the office. We got a lot to talk over.
It's all right if I go back to work now, Mr. Courtwright?
What? Oh, sure, go ahead. No, wait a minute. That stranger make a play for you?
Well, sure, but they all try at least once.
Maybe you could encourage him a little, huh?
Why?
Like to know what he's doing for you. Maybe you can find out.
What's in it for me?
100.
You got yourself a deal, Mr. Courtwright.
Hey, bartender.
Look, I only gave Jonesy that job to keep out of trouble till you got here. If you got any sense, you'll take her and clear out, both of you.
Look, we came here to do a job.
Why'd you be wasting your time? Courtwright has got this town sewed up tight in a drum.
What's the matter? You afraid of him?
You know better than that.
Then why are you paying him off?
Who said I was?
You are, aren't you?
Look, I'm doing all right here in Fort Worth. I got the White Elephant, and I got a freight liner that's not doing bad either. So why should I ask for trouble?
Look, it only takes one man. One man with enough guts to stand at the Courtwright, and he's out of business.
There are plenty of others paying. Ask one of them.
Maybe they got wives and kids.
Look, man, this joint's a gold mine. If somebody set fire to it, I'd lose everything.
All right. Suppose instead of paying off Courtwright, some of the men put up the same amount of money in sort of an insurance form to guarantee you against any loss.
I'm not interested.
You're an example of what money can do to man, and I'm glad I don't have much of it.
Now, take it easy, Matt.
Why should I?
Matt?
Yeah?
Oh, I have a showdown with Courtwright. That don't prove you killed your man.
I know that. Once he's jailed for extortion, somebody might come forth with some evidence.
I in your neck for putting me on such a spot. Well, I'll do it.
I figured you would.
Yeah, I know. Now, how do we work this?
Just give me the names of men that are paying off Courtwright. I'll take it from there. That afternoon, I made the rounds. It didn't take long to find out that Courtwright was playing for high stakes. Using his reputation as a gunslinger, he was collecting tribute from every businessman and rancher in the county, and they were tired of it.
Hey, man, how'd it go?
Great. Every man on the list agrees to back you 100%.
Oh, that's wonderful.
38,000. This place is only worth 8. You mean they pledged that much?
That's right. In a year's time, they'd pay Courtwright twice that amount. And don't forget, Luke, they may not have to put out one thin dime.
That is, if we're lucky.
We're not trusting luck, Jonesy. Some of the fellows are sending men over here to guard this place.
We may need it.
We're ready for Courtwright. The sooner he knows about it, the better. Say, by the way, didn't you say you made a deal with Courtwright?
That's right.
All right. You get over there as quick as you can and see what you can do about it. Now, Luke, here's what happened.
Come in. Well, hello, Jonesy.
Hello, Mr. Courtwright. You wanted some information about a certain man? I've got it.
Oh, such as?
He works for the railroad. He's a detective, and his name is Matt Clark.
Oh, I knew that.
Well, I'll tell you something you didn't know. Luke isn't going to pay you to protect his place anymore.
Where'd you hear that, Jonesy?
The walls in that joint are so thin you can learn a lot if you just keep your ears open.
That Detective Matt Clark tell you?
No, but he's in on the deal.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Courtwright. I guess I better be getting back now.
Oh, there's more where that came from in case you hear anything else.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Courtwright.
You're not gonna let him get away with it, are you, Jim?
Oh, no. If I did, other people might get the same idea.
Yeah. Well, what do we do? Shoot the joint up or burn it down?
Luke and Clark aren't fools. They'll be expecting something like that. That freight line of Luke's. This is Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a wagon train from the north due in today.
Uh-huh. See what you mean.
Round up the men and ride out to meet it.
You coming along?
No, I'm staying here in case I need an alibi.
Right. There they are. Let's go. Come.
wagon train. It's been wiped out.
What happened?
Bandits hit us at Green Springs. Happened so fast, we didn't have a chance.
Anyone hurt?
Dad Wilson's dead.
Dad Wilson?
Nate, Smetty, and Joe are hit pretty bad, too. We patched up a wagon, and they're bringing them in.
Now, what do you think you're doing?
I'll have a better chance against Courtwright with a shoulder rig.
You crazy fool, that's just what he wants you to do.
And that's what he's gonna get.
You're staying right here. You're no match for Courtwright.
You started this, but I'm gonna finish it.
No, not this way. Now, sit. If you go gunning for Courtwright, he'll trick you into drawing first and then blow your brains out. And he'll claim self-defense.
Is this a private fight, or can a lady join in?
Crazy fool wants to go gunning for Courtwright.
That's a nice way to commit suicide.
What do you expect me to do? Stay hold here and wait for him to try something else?
That's exactly it.
Why don't we prove that Courtwright's men attacked the wagon train? After all, I'm practically on his payroll.
So?
He's probably feeling very pleased with himself. If I went over there, he might even do a little boasting.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. You think you can handle him?
Positive. However, if I'm not back in a half hour, come and get me.
Step in the next room, boys. I got a little business to do. Hello, beautiful. Got some information for me?
Yes. Clark and Luke claim your men wrecked the freight line.
Oh, people claim lots of things they can't prove.
They also say you're going to shoot up the White Elephant.
Huh? You believe them?
Enough to quit my job.
What's the matter? You afraid you might get hurt?
That was one reason.
Uh-huh. Well, what's the other?
I found out life was more pleasant when you're on the winning side.
Well, I didn't quit my job as marshal of Fort Worth to be a loser, you know.
But how long do you think you can be a winner, Mr. Courtwright?
Oh, just as long as I can outshoot anyone that gets in my way. That'll be just about long enough to collect enough money to get to Chicago and New York. The big time. You know, I like you, Jonesy.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah, I like you a lot. Beautiful hair, lovely skin, soft lips. There's only one thing wrong.
Oh?
You're a railroad detective. You see, I had Marshal Johnson telegraph for information about Clark. And you know what? We learned that he works with a female detective named Margaret Jones.
Well, you have to admit, it was fun while it lasted.
Gabriel, break your arm! What's going on? A female detective's gonna come in real handy. I don't like this, if you ask me. Nobody asked you. All right, Huck, take it to Pioneer Grove and wait till you hear from me. It'll be a pleasure. Come on. What are you gonna do with her, Jim? I'm gonna use her for bait. When that detective Clark finds out she's missing, he'll have the whole county looking for her. Well, that'll give me enough time to take care of Luke Short. Now, you'll be the first one Clark will get in touch with.
Of course I will. What'll I tell him?
Well, you tell him you haven't seen me all day, huh?
No sign of Jonesy yet?
Not yet. What time is it?
Almost 4 o'clock.
Something must have gone wrong. I don't think I'll wait.
Jonesy will never forgive you if you barge in and ruin everything.
She'll get over it. Marshal, where's Courtwright?
I don't know. I haven't seen him all morning. Anything wrong?
There's a girl missing, and I think he knows where she is.
Well, I'll be doggone. Who is she?
Margaret Jones. She worked for Luke Short.
Oh, yes. Cute trick, too. Jim liked her a lot. Huh. Why, that low down...
Where do you think he took her?
Well, now, let's see. I know he's got a shack up at Madden's Lake. Yes, sir.
Is that what Courtwright told you to tell me?
Now, look here, son.
Don't you lie to me, Johnson. I found this cigar just a few minutes ago on Courtwright's desk.
I must have left it there this morning.
I thought you said you hadn't seen him all morning.
Well, I must have.
You left there less than an hour ago. The butt end of that cigar's still wet. Now, you tell me where he really took her. I'll break you in two. Did he take her to the lake?
No. No. His men are there waiting for you. He really took her to Pioneer Grove.
Courtwright's got Jones at a place called Pioneer Grove. I want some men to go with me. Come on.
Keep an eye on her, Huck. Going after Luke.
They're surrounded, Courtwright. Come on out with your hands up.
I thought you said you had an ambush set for that detective back at the lake. Should never have trusted that dirty double-crossing marshal.
I said, come on out.
We can't hold out here, Jim. All right, Huck. You ride over to the lake and get the men. Meet me at Luke Short's place. If we try to get to the horses, we'll be killed. All right, we'll borrow the laws.
I'll circle around back, then. Where's Courtwright?
He went back to get Luke Short.
Short, he hasn't got a prayer against Courtwright. Hold your fire, men. Come on.
Courtright's coming here.
Anybody with him?
He's alone.
So that's the way it's gonna be.
Come on, Luke, you can't outdraw Courtwright.
I never got anywhere running away.
I've been looking for you, little man.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, you made a mistake, Luke, hooking up with that detective.
He seems to be doing all right.
Oh, you don't sound very sure of yourself. What are you afraid of, Luke?
I'm not afraid of you, if that's what you're getting at.
You're lying, little man. You haven't got nerve enough.
If anybody wants me, I'll be at the marshal's office.
Jim Courtright's reign of violence had ended. He finally found somebody to stand up to him and call his bluff.
What is it?
Something the folks in town wanted you to have, Luke.
They're grateful for what you did, Luke, even though they can't understand how you managed to do it.
Courtright's guns. Matt, I sure don't know how to thank you. You're mighty nice.
Here's something else. These weapons belong to Jim Courtright, who was killed by Luke Short February the 8th, 1887. Luke wasn't half the shot Jim was, but he was twice the man. That's what the whole town thinks about you, little man. You well deserved it.
Gosh, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
Oh, forget it, Luke. Just drop us a line sometime, won't you?
Come on, Jonesy, we must retrain.
Goodbye, Luke.
Bye, Jonesy.
Take it easy, big man.